Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our My Global webinar series. Today, I have Amy with me, and we're going to just do a little introduction, talk a little bit about their operation, what they do for verification programs, some of their opinions on programs and where they go and how they do it all. And so thanks for joining us, Amy. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, so to start off, can you just please introduce yourself for one, and where you guys are located and what's your ranch name?
Okay. Again, my name is Amy Doyle, and I'm with Quarter Circle U Ranch, and we're outside of Phoenix, Arizona. We are in a very rocky, mountainous state lease, and it's about 114,000 acres. That sounds crazy big, but it is so rocky that we run about 350 cow-calf.
How long have you guys been ranching?
It sounds kind of funny. My husband and I've just owned it for a year, but it was my family ranch. So my folks purchased it back in '77. So they've been ranching for 43 years. And then my dad is still on as our herdsman. So definitely been in the family, but it's a whole different feeling when you wake up in the morning knowing you're responsible. So been very involved, but once it's, under your reign, it's just a little bit different, and been very much involved, obviously.
Awesome. Yeah, I can imagine that it's a kind of a huge change. Growing up on a ranch is one thing, but then once it's kind of your ownership too, it's a whole nother ball game. So that's so neat that it's been kind of passed down onto you, keeping that legacy moving forward. So just general, what are some of your biggest challenges as a rancher, producer, however you want to look at it, and how have you learned to overcome those and adapt?
Yeah, our biggest, because of our location, is rain. So water control and management of what we have. We have multiple springs across the property, but that entailed my father an extensive water program about 15 years ago using NRCS and quite a few other things that we have on the ranch to put in a very extensive water system. That has been my challenge. So we purchased the ranch last February, so the end of February, and then the end of May, a few months later, we had a wildfire that burned 65% of the ranch. So that has been my obviously #1 challenge this year. Water has always been a concern, but all of that poly pipe, everything burned. So now it just became a whole different management style of bringing the cows in. So this year is just a one-off, and we were out riding yesterday and just seeing the sprigs of new grass. But again, it's going to be a focus on water management probably for the next 2 years.
Wow, yeah, I can imagine that is quite a struggle. Not very many people probably realize that water, and obviously in your guys' climate, the conditions are just can be really tough. Now, granted, they're tough no matter where you're at, depending on obviously your location. But water is kind of a key thing. So I can understand. That anyway. So where or how do you guys market your cattle? And how has that helped increase your marketing opportunities?
Yeah, and again, since we've had the history of the ranch, it's changed and had to morph into, the consumer demand so much of a different over the last 10 years. But before that, my father was always very progressive in all of the marketing of the cows and the conditions of the cows. So back in 1980, he actually started with the all natural beef and getting that certified with USDA, so we could sell here to the local markets and to restaurants and meat markets. That changed within, that lasted maybe 10, 15 years, had its many challenges too, but we're keeping the records on the ranch of, age source, who's who, and then started artificially inseminating. So it's been a progress, but with the help of IMI, now you truly have made it easier and more recognizable. And so we've been doing it for, like I said, since the 80s. But now to have the tags in the ears, to have everything able to computerize, and I don't see IMI Global as like the third party verification. I see you as partners in getting quality meat to the end consumer. So to me, you guys have just continually made it easier and just helped us. We've been keeping the records, and to me, that's sometimes the most difficult is you're wanting to go out and be sure, all the normal water, fencing, all of those things. And then when you're bringing in the cows and working them and keeping all of your records and everybody on that same page of priorities, you guys have just made that process so much easier, just from the history I've seen on our ranch.
That's so awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I think that's one of our main goals is to make this process and doing these verifications as seamless and easy, I mean, for a lack of a better term, as possible, because you guys have a lot, I mean, you especially have a lot going on, and adding one more thing to your plate can be a little bit stressful. So kind of helping take that ease away and being a resource for you is definitely important. So you kind of touched on it a little bit, Amy. What verification programs do you do? You referenced you guys have been doing verification for about 10 years. Is that what I heard, or has it been longer than that?
Yeah, I would say 10 years is we've been doing it longer, but as far as a third-party IMI national program, global program, yes, we've been doing it for at least 8 years that we have continued. We've looked at using GAP. We've looked at doing different things to add to the H source program and the verification to get us the premiums going forward. So we're always looking, but with what you have to offer, we've been very happy with the H source and now the beef care program.
Awesome. So kind of rolling right into that, what do you feel has been the greatest benefit for participating in verification programs? You kind of referenced it a little bit earlier, but maybe can you go into some more detail about what benefits you've seen?
Of course, everybody is looking for the premium. So I would say as far as the best return on all of the work that is put in both by us and by you, the premium is the best return, and that's what we're doing. That's what our mission is to get quality beef into the consumer at the highest and best price. And then with that, we also are getting the information back from our end user. So to get to the level that we have based on the verification programs that we've had in the past, we've gotten, and I don't know if you're wanting me to use specifics, but so we are able to sell to Creekstone now, and Creekstone then is an additional partner that gives us back the information that we know on how we graded, and then that makes next year's planning. So again, I see IMI Global as a partner on getting that final product, quality product to the consumer. And I think the beef care program is just such a nice added, even at the moment, if it doesn't give us, if it's not giving us a premium in a dollar form, it's giving us that premium that the final consumer sees that as such a goal that they want to know who's taking care of their beef. So it may not give us a dollar return at the moment, but we see it as the final user knowing what we've done. And again, it gives us the satisfaction that we have met the humanitarian goals that the consumers are looking for. So all of those programs, again, hoping to get the premiums, but again, the beef care right now, that is what the consumer is looking for. So again, you're, a third party, but it's a partner, all of us working towards the same goal that we feel these programs are achieving for us.
So awesome. Yeah. So kind of transitioning into the other side of the coin. So what have you found is maybe the most difficult part of, or something that you feel is not what you expected when you guys started into programs, maybe, or within verification itself?
Again, maybe it's because of the history of the ranch that we've kept the records for so long that I'm not really finding much difficulty in any parts of the program. For our particular history, we have found that you have helped us. If there's a difficulty, it's keeping the records and keeping everybody on the same page on the protocols and keeping up with the market trends of being sure our vaccinations are affecting where we feed here, our region, and then also where we use our feedlots or in Oklahoma. So you have to keep on top of those markets for our vaccine that we may not be dealing with that here. So I guess the difficulty is in the business that we have, and I feel with the programs that you offer, it has simplified and again, just gives us those a checklist. The vaccines that are the minimum, and then we add to that, and then keeping those records to be sure. And then when we meet with you to do our audit, it's again being sure is that the highest and best that's out there. And it's just a review process for us that we do internally before and after the audit. I don't feel restricted on what the information you give us. And then the only thing for me this year is after the audit, I got, gosh, I don't know what the name of the checklist is. I think it's your emergency action plan. And that our new little worksheet that we're working on. Again, it's just such a nice to have. We had a lot of those plans, thank goodness, because of the fire, we were set. But when I was looking over the plan that IMI gave us to go by, everybody got a copy of it. Everybody put in their thoughts, and then I'm compiling that as our Bible. And those are just really nice to haves. Again, keeping everybody on track. I don't find that difficult. I find that as a very helpful tool, one of the many that we need to survive. So I am not finding it as difficult, and everybody is so approachable. If I do have a question or if I'm finding it difficult, I'll reach out to say, why am I finding this difficult? And everyone's very approachable, very reactionary. So I have found if I feel there is a difficult, I found an answer quickly.
That's awesome. Well, that's another thing that I'm like, wow, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I think that it's so, I think it's so neat. You made a comment about how you had all of your people that work on the ranch, they each got to put their input in, and I think that's just really neat because everybody has their own roles, and that's one thing that with verification, it's important to everybody being on the same page, and but everybody also being able to have their voice heard, because a ranch is a well-oiled machine, and everybody's got to be working together and making things move forward smoothly and rolling. And so I think that's so awesome that you're taking things that are used to meet requirements, or the checklist or whatever for verification, but you're implementing those into your operation as standard practice, which I think is something that's so important, not only obviously to meet our requirements, but to continue keeping yourself successful and sustainable within your operation. So that's so neat, Amy. So kind of transitioning to talk a little bit more detail about beef care. Can you kind of walk us through how you felt during the process and with the requirements of beef care, you know, during the phone interview process, and then or even before that, because I know you'll get the documents before the producer guidance that kind of outlines the standard, but then you go into the phone interview to build the quality manual, and then when the auditor comes on site to do their portion of beef care, I know it's just probably a little bit different than what you're used to with your other verification claims. So can you kind of talk us through that and how you felt and just any thoughts or opinions you have?
Well, thank you. Again, the information is sent to you. You know, I received it by email and could do it at my time, go through it, and then I just highlighted where I would have questions. And then when I met with Kelly, was our first contact on the beef care. Kelly and I went through the process, and I really just felt she was just asking questions of our standard operating procedures. So nothing, I was making notes of things I needed to check on for us. But again, I felt it as a good tool to just see if we are complying to humanitarian care. And I was happy to hear that we're probably above that and have worked with the people. Everybody that comes to the ranch knows what's expected of how to handle the cows, all the way through trucking till we get to the final destination. So it wasn't just the process of what we do on the ranch and that audit, but I felt it helped me through the whole process of the beef care. And again, I see it as a tool that gives me more opportunity. We were looking at maybe marketing a different way. Do we want to, we've been approached multiple times of being natural and local. And their third question is always, do you have, you know, how do you handle your cows? And so the beef care product, how I see it, or tool, really just allows us more opportunity of how to market, and it's they're asking the questions, and not just us worried about how we care for our beef and how everybody that handles our beef cares for our beef, but it's a question that the public is asking, so very timely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that kind of rolls into my next question. Amy, you know, CARE, one of the reasons CARE was built was to help producers tell their story to consumers. So, what is something that you want consumers to know about your family and your guys' operation?
First of all, probably that it is a family operation. A lot of people don't, and we're in the Phoenix Metro, a lot of people are just surprised that it can be run by a family and ranchers and people still care. Beef care, and then also I think the care for the land, and just by telling them how we do our pasture rotations and how we do our water and how we're proactive and how we know what we're growing and on the land. Then the beef care program on top of that, showing how our corrals are cared. You know, we have them on the Temple Grandin. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's all about the cow and the ease of getting them through and being calm as they come through. So it's a very tough message to get to the consumer, but I think having a program named Beef Care obviously is going to get their attention, and then if they do their due diligence on what that is, I think they will get to know our ranch by the requirements that you have on the Beef Care program. So, you know, to answer your question, I would say to know that we follow the practices of beef care.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, where you live in the metro area, and so a lot of those people don't understand, and not because they don't want to, they just don't know. They're so far removed, or they've never had an opportunity to better understand what a rancher does, and everything that you have to do to not only be sustainable as a business, but to be sustainable and take care of the land and the people that work for you, and of course the cattle. I mean, if you're not taking good care of the cattle, then your business isn't going to be sustainable. I mean, that's just the facts. And so I think those are all good things to point out. So my last question, Amy, is if you were to give any advice to a producer that's looking to enroll in verification, what would you tell them?
Again, I would have them look at their, 1, 3, and 5 year plans for their business, and then look at what these verification programs would offer on the end top dollar that you could get once you're in these programs, and to see that that's a goal, and then look at the process of what you have to do with these verifications to get there. We feel is very minimal and somewhat expected and standard operating procedure. And so I think I would tell them, plan out what your business model looks like, and then look at these programs. It's a tool to use, and really not difficult process to go through. And everyone that I've met with IMI Global has been extremely helpful, answers your questions. So I would suggest that they look at it, and as I feel, very approachable and very doable. So I would, push anyone to look how it fits over their business model as ranchers.
Awesome. Well, great. Well, Amy, those are all the questions that I had. Did you have anything else that you'd like to add before we finish up?
No, I just want to thank you all for all you do. And again, my goal is, and it's somewhat selfish as far as Arizona beef, is to use the programs that we have, that IMI has, to show that we do raise quality beef in Arizona, and that it goes to a national market. So thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, thank you for doing what you do, not only as a producer yourself, a rancher yourself, but for being such a strong advocate for IMI Global and verification programs in general. So we appreciate having people like you on our team. Well, Amy, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with me. If you're interested in programs or anything like what Amy and I have discussed, please reach out to us. You can call us at our office, 303-895-3002, or look at our imiglobal.com website. There is so much information on there, and you can see anything from our source and age program all the way to our beef care program, and how to get involved with those. So thanks again, Amy, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Ashley.